Hey,
Hi.
welcome to Literarily Wasted. Look at us being back in the old original format where we can all be in the same room as couples.
Well, it's not the original format.
Not the original format. That was
Technically, we could all be in the same room right now.
We could.
So we could.
We could. We're all together again, sort of. So I think that deserves a celebratory name song.
Okay.
Name song.
Ooh, don't start that again.
Hi, Giggles, Mariah again. Kristen and Caitlin. Hi, Brenda and Kent and Sean and Brandy. Hi, Brandy again. Hi, Willa and Stacy and Bobby and Jennifer, Philip, Henry and Judy. Hi, Tim and Victoria, Julie and Kent and Tammy, Martin, Matt, Rachel, Giggles, Vids, Carrie, Kristen, Adrian, Jody, Sean, Bobby, Lauren. Julie, Katie, Dan, Stacy, Rachel, Cindy, and Sean.
Hey.
Hello.
Yeah, you did it. You made it through without coughing.
Sean,
Yeah.
My shirt is making me thirsty, so cheers.
Okay.
Worth it.
And now...
Where is your shirt say Burn Juice?
It is a warrior's drink. Dan has disabled his governor module for the occasion because we have to talk about All Systems Red by Martha Wells. It is the first Murderbot book and the short little novella that we have slated for the second half of this month, which we shall discuss now.
A quick question.
Okay.
You'll know this. Are all of these subsequent books the same size?
No, I think it's book 4. It jumps to like 350 pages.
Okay, so she was like, here's a concept. Oh, people like it. Now I'm going to write like full-size novels kind of thing.
I don't think they all are.
Yeah.
Or at least by the fourth one.
Is this a bad time to tell you that we'll find out tomorrow?
No, I already saw that you ordered all of them, so it's fine.
Here, wait, I'm pulling it up.
Talia's like, we need to start a book club so I can buy more books.
Well, this...
okay, but they are books.
No, they're books.
They're books.
Yeah, Sean says 4 novellas, and
it's a book club.
Number 5 is at least 350 pages.
Holy crap!
4 is 176 pages. 5 is 350. 6 is 168.
Most of them are short.
So
then
how many are there?
There's
Is that a finite 6, or we're gonna keep going?
There's 6 that are out right now.
Published, yeah.
She does.
More on the way.
There are more slated for the future.
All right, Martha.
So,
and the paperbacks are not available. You like have to buy them in hardback.
So this is a pretty popular series, right? Like this is like I've been hearing about Murderbot for a long time.
You actually read it before,
and I did read this in advance of us knowing that we were going to read this. I've read it twice now.
Didn't?
Yeah, I knew things first.
This has been on my list for a really long time, but I just hadn't gotten to it until this month.
How did that happen? How did Adam read a book before Christine?
Every once in a while it happens. There's others.
Okay.
And this is the one.
Okay,
I didn't need it to be judgmental.
I
was genuinely curious.
And Ready Player One, you read that one first. You read Wool first. See?
I'm the best.
I'm sorry. It wasn't that funny. I just coughed and then laughed at the coughing.
So, hey, Leanne made it.
Hey.
So let's talk about what y'all think about Murderbot. Was it what you expected? What did you have any expectations? Having read this twice, I feel like
I really, really like this book. Put Matt's up there, Matt Scalisi's. This is
say the same thing.
I love the protagonist and the story and concept. There were so many names, and that was really hard. And I kind of just glossed over them. And I actually thought the ending wrapped up too quickly. But I loved it, and I can't wait to read the second one and the 4 after that.
If you want to borrow them, let me know. Yeah, so I obviously enjoyed it because I did order the rest of the series. Granted, I did it thinking that they were all this size, and I was like, ooh, yay, like love. Christy, thank you so much for honestly just having this idea, because this past month, having the 2 short stories, the novellas, was so not just enjoyable, but like very much what I needed to get through the month anyways.
Yeah.
But like it was very, very helpful. It was super fun to do something different. I loved reading these stories and feeling like you could get through it so quickly. I did really enjoy it. I don't feel like it was flawless, but there also wasn't like a big glaring thing that like jumped out at me, like, oh, this super bugs me or like whatever else. And honestly, my COVID brain had such a hard time getting through Emperor's Soul, which I loved, that now being able to focus like a little bit more easily, I guess. I did have to like flip back and forth a little bit because I'd be like, who's that? And it did take me forever to like get some stuff in my head. But no, I dug it. I'm ready to read more. I hope that we get a better nickname.
It's called the Murderbot Diaries, so I don't think
I feel like we
we're
won't,
gonna-
but I want Murderbot to have a name that other people call them rather than just like them always being like
Sec unit.
the sec unit. Like
Yeah.
I was like, well, that's but no, like no glaring things. I enjoyed it.
Is it my turn?
Yes.
Yeah, go.
Mariah, because I can't comment in Facebook to answer your YouTube question, but I think this was a TJ Maxx shirt. Purchase. I wore it
Maxinista
to
over
Adam's
there.
birthday recently. So anyway, I think this is 1 month. Yes, Christy, to reiterate Talia's sentiments, I really enjoyed having 2 like micro reads. Like it was a nice summer shorty little break. When I saw that, Talia and I were both like, oh, we got to read the book. Oh yeah, crap. Like, oh, it's a 3-hour audiobook. That's super easy. So I appreciate that. I don't know if I would continue this right away. I think Matt Scalisi kind of put it well, where I like the protagonist and the stakes.
Sing it.
The plot was a little confusing. Like I didn't really.
Why
Maybe
do
we'll
you
uncover.
kill me up? Sorry. Murderbot, baby,
I'm
just
gonna
let
take it
me
off.
go.
I'm gonna take it off the screen. Now.
Okay, sorry. Keep going.
I agree. There were a lot of names and a lot to get through in a 3-hour audiobook where I kind of wanted a little bit more like to pull back and have a little bit larger scope to know really what the stakes were on this planet. Why just more. But I guess you can only do so much in a succinct novella. So yeah, so will I continue it? Probably not right now. It's not like a burning itch. I think this is 1 month where, oddly enough, I like the fantasy book more than the sci-fi, which is a little odd. But I think if I had to put one over the other, I liked The Emperor's New Groove a little bit better than All Systems Red. Whatever it was, Soul. He got a new groove. It's kind of the same thing.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, so Julie says we get a better idea of the stakes as the series continues. I like that this was like an appetizer, though, right? Like it was enough to be like, hey, do you like this? You want to see more? And obviously people responded very well to this because now we're on our 6th book. So it's definitely something I would recommend to people that want to just like hop in and out of a quick sci-fi story, and like, because it wraps up well enough to where you could leave it and just be like, okay, there's more. I don't necessarily need to jump in now, but I mean, well written and
I'm gonna make
fun.
I'm gonna make our kid read them,
I
our
could see
teenager,
that,
because
yeah.
honestly, there's really nothing in
There's
it. I
nothing
mean,
that was
except
bad.
like obviously some murder.
Muck duck.
Yeah.
So yeah, overall enjoyable. I'm glad it was just a quick, it's like toe in the water, jump right back out.
Adrian, I very much identified. Someone said that they didn't connect to the character because of the lack of emotion, which I totally understand. But at the same time, going through this and being slightly apathetic about everything right now, I very much identified with the robot because I was like, I wouldn't have read it either. I don't care. I did not read the work file. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah, didn't care. Well, and even to your point of like Murderbot being a teenager, like even at the end where he's like, I just want the opportunity to like think for myself and figure it out on my own. Like it's very much like a teenager mindset.
Or a slightly older. It's okay if you don't know what you're doing with your life and you're older than a teenager.
That's true.
Okay, Adam, I really want to know what you think having read it twice now.
Yeah, that's true.
So I was really able to get into it the second time. The first time I kind of had a similar experience to what everybody else is saying, and that like the plot was a little bit like hard to follow, like not hard to follow, just like, you know, it was like a lot of mystery, and then like everything happens all at once, and then it's like over really fast, and like Murderbot isn't even conscious for it. Like,
Yeah.
and there were a lot of characters, and I don't think I had as much trouble with the names even the first time, but the second time was a lot easier to get a sense of who everybody was, and like, you know, like you could keep you knew who the people were, and you could keep track of them, and I was able to kind of pick up on things that I missed the first time, or that I kind of glossed over, in that like it's all there. And Murderbot even like recounts it. It's like, oh yeah, this happened, this happens, and put the pieces together equals industrial sabotage. But as I was reading it the second time, I was like, oh, autopilot kicked out. And like they just kind of glossed over it in the book, but I was like, this is an indication that things are not going right. So, you know, I think like it's probably like reading any book a second time. You just get more out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Dan said something similar about like how he was able to connect emotionally to it better. And I think I was able to do the same, just not having to worry about like the plot itself. And I could focus on more of the other stuff. That said, like I have also read books 2 and 3. So yeah. But
you reread it, so no spoilers.
Yeah, I reread it, so I'm not gonna say anything about it. But so as an indication of whether the first time was enough to get me to read more, it was, because I think that Murderbot is a highly relatable character to me personally. As somebody who, like, you know, maybe doesn't want to go to work sometimes, or just wants to, like, you know, would rather be just
Watching your serials,
sitting
man.
around watching TV, like, and it's not just like, it's not like, I feel like Sanctuary Moon to Murderbot is a comfort show. Like, I feel like I don't know if Murderbot is watching fresh episodes, or if it's just like it's just something Murderbot watches. But
So,
like,
where you're going with this, Julie actually asked in the discussion topics post, she said, what is your go-to TV series for watching and rewatching in the way that Murderbot returns to Sanctuary Moon over and over again?
100% Star Trek: The Next Generation. But like,
What?
yeah, shocker. But I thought that, I think Murderbot's approach, and not just like the fact that I would, you know, Murderbot would rather be watching TV, but also the kind of aversion to people, was like the introverted nature of being a sec unit. And
Like,
you know,
I'm in this whole mess because of stupid company.
yeah.
Gave me the cheap parts.
And
Mhm.
but like, you know, like it's just a relatable character for me. So it's fun to watch this character go through these things and have these thoughts, and it's very kind of, you know, first person. Like it's
Oh my
there's
God.
very colored by Murderbot's
Y'all have had
feelings.
so many good comments tonight, and I'm like
Yeah, scroll back up.
missing so many of them.
Which one?
The-
When I talk, it's hard
there's-
for me.
There's
to-
one from
there's
Kristen that
so
was really
many.
good.
I do want to just Julie saying that she loved that Murderbot had zero control of the facial expressions. Yeah, I think we'd all benefit from that opaque visor
I would
sometimes.
love to have an opaque visor.
Definitely.
Kristen says, my friend who's autistic said she identified with Murderbot a lot. The inability to understand others' emotions and feeling overstimulated, but also wanting to be understood and accepted.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think that's
deep.
Yeah, that's something I kind of relate to as well.
Yeah.
I also really love that someone mentioned it earlier too, how the audiobook, and you agreed the audiobook narrator was the voice was not very like distinguishable as outright male or
Yeah,
female.
I honestly, I mean, I know it was a guy that read it, but now that you say that, I can't pinpoint the voice at all.
Well, and
So,
I
yeah.
love that. And like, because that does seem to be like a big part of Murderbot's identity is that it is this kind of ambiguous character. It's comprised this construct of clone, organic parts, and robot. And I think that's really interesting as a narrator, or like the point of view that you're reading from, because maybe it's more easy for almost anyone to kind of identify with that character, right? Like,
Yeah, it's like a video game avatar where you kind of have to put
Yeah.
yourself in there. I'm enjoying seeing everybody's comfort shows.
Yeah.
My Little Pony, Parks and Rec, Supernatural.
I think
Charmed and
A couple of
Buffy,
Supernaturals.
couple of Star Treks.
Hey,
I have a whole list, but The Office is definitely
The
on
Office
there.
is definitely up there.
We'll see if Adam can say what mine is.
comfort show is the BBC Pride and Prejudice, which is more of a miniseries.
It's a miniseries,
Really?
but it's wonderful. I watched it when I had COVID because I just needed a friend.
You just needed a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's why I put
get
on
that.
like Pluto TV has been a savior for me with its 24/7 Star Trek Next Generation channel. It's a
Ooh,
way
good
for me to
place. That's a
Yeah.
good one.
tune my
Mm.
brain off. This live stream brought to you by Pluto TV.
No.
But yeah, Murderbot just wants to watch Sanctuary Moon.
Well, okay, here's a question relating to Sanctuary Moon. How much of Murderbot's personality is its own versus something it's absorbed from the soap operas it's watched? Because it specifically said that, like, I'm dramatic about this because of Sanctuary Moon.
I think it helped. It's hopefully, I know that we like heard a lot about that show, but I think there are other ones as well. And that has helped flesh out Murderbot's personality and how they react to stuff, and like has made them more, I think, of a person versus just an empty construct. But it makes me wonder now, I'll be like, have I ever like watched any shows that have affected my personality? We know Adam has, but like,
I take that to mean that I guess I am like Jean-Luc Picard, and make it so.
I mean, he's a really good role
you
model.
are what
really.
you eat. We
He's a
are
role
what
model.
we consume.
We watch Star Trek all the time. We just have it on a lot. And like I'm a manager, and Jean-Luc Picard is such a good influence. Like I feel like I learned a lot just having him on the TV, actually.
Everybody should be like
Oh
Picard.
no, Adam's
hashtag.
never gonna forget that you said that.
Oh,
I don't even know what you said.
It's too late. We seriously we had it on earlier today. It's on all the time.
Yeah, it is.
I think the same thing of Michael Scott. It's a great manager.
Okay. Yeah.
Someone, I think it was Lauren, asked. They said they kept seeing Murderbot as him, and is that not a thing? And it is not. Murderbot specifically said they have no gender and no sex-related parts.
Otherwise, they would be a sex bot. And
Sex
someone else
bot.
in the comments said, "Yuck."
How
How great.
Yeah. I like that comment where Murderbot was like, I don't need to show my face. I'm not a sex bot.
I don't have to look in you in the
Yeah,
eyes.
like don't look at me. Like, why would you look at me? Stop.
Mhm.
Humans. I'm gonna start doing that now. People will be like, why are you looking at me? There's literally no reason except that technically I'm in front of a camera right now, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, but we're not even looking people in the eyes. We're looking at our screen, not at our webcams. Otherwise,
No,
we
I'm
get this all the
looking.
time.
I'm looking, and the weird thing is when y'all talk, I don't look into I look into your eyes
Yeah.
on the computer.
Not
I do the same thing.
Yeah, that's
Because
why.
that's not their eyes. I look over
that's-
here. Because
That's why
their
Zoom
faces are-
meetings and all that stuff during the pandemic was okay for me because nobody was looking at me in the eye. Nobody was like looking right at their webcams.
No, when we film the book poll video things, I
Yes.
can't look at Christy when Christy's talking. I have to look right into the camera. And it's so weird because then I can't see Christy's face when I'm talking to her.
Wait, we
She's
should
describing the
all-
book and I'm having to stare into the little glass circle and be like,
We should all look at the audience.
That's
I like how we didn't talk though. How can we? You
Yeah,
can't
we had
look
to
and talk at the same time. We lost
everybody
the ability of
simultaneously
speech.
looked away from their computers.
Sorry.
Burn.
I forgot what we were talking about.
Oh,
yes,
no,
it's
Philip.
definitely
You
ew.
ruined it. You ruined
Philip.
it.
No,
No.
that's exactly what I was doing. That's my sexy face.
I'm gonna swallow my cough drop. So,
It feels a
but
bit
no, I do
forceful.
love yes. So nothing defining Murderbot's gender, which you also noticed because the crew that's working.
one?
All of them. They're just like,
The
please
crew.
stop.
Oh my god, I almost inhaled my cough drop.
Stop
Okay.
looking at me.
The crew that has hired Murderbot, now purchased, whatever.
Preservation Ox.
Yes. They literally have been more respectful and treated this sec unit, Murderbot, as a person.
Mhm.
But I think that was eye-opening for me to be like, because at first, they kept referring to Murderbot as it. And that's really what helped solidify it in my mind. Because if they truly were seeing Murderbot as a companion, as part of their crew, and using basically it pronouns for Murderbot, I was like, okay. Murderbot really is not leaning one way or the other. I was trying so hard to picture something ambiguous in my mind, knowing that this is, it has a human head, basically. And I was like, I don't know, I spent a long time picturing eyebrows for some reason.
The first time I read it, I
Mhm.
must have skipped over or forgotten about that part because the whole time I was picturing Murderbot as a female. And I was like, oh.
I did too when I was reading it. And I honestly think it's because of the author. It's written by a woman, and I think I connect this book with Martha Wells, and I think so. I just automatically assumed it was a woman, even though Murderbot clearly is not.
In my head, I didn't really picture anything in particular, except for like what you see on the cover is kind of what I held in my head. But it was the voice. For me, in my head, I gave Murderbot Sunny from iRobot. It had Sunny's voice in my head every time it talked. It spoke aloud. It's
been a long time
Was
since I've
it
seen that movie.
Alan Tudyk.
It holds up.
Not a
Actually
comfort
holds
movie
up
for
really
me.
well.
It's to really love
It holds up. We watched
It gets me every time. But Sunny does have that, that was a connection for me of being like, a robot that was altered in some way and now has this personality. And so,
Yeah,
and
I can
it's
see
just
that.
like a soft, like soothing robotic voice.
It's
Well,
like
and, like,
Jarvis.
Murderbot used it with Bardwaj with Valescu when
Yeah.
Valescu had shock. So I mean that makes sense.
But Murderbot didn't remember doing it. Murderbot had to rewatch the video to see it
You're
being
like, talk
reassuring.
the whole time.
I thought that was funny. I thought a lot of things Murderbot thought was funny. Like it did have a lot of kind of dark comedy in it. Not like
Well, gosh,
Love
the
that.
first line of this book was fantastic. I read it out loud to him. I could have become a mass murderer after I hacked my governor module, but then I realized I could access the combined feed of entertainment channels carried on the company's satellites. I mean, That's wonderful.
That's the power
Why
of
would
TV.
you murder people when you could just watch TV instead? I
Well, like,
love that.
What a great first sentence too,
Yay,
because like
silly.
that is so Murderbot's personality. Like, why bother? Well, that's a lot of work to murder people. Might as well just watch TV.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. I think we all feel that.
It's the reason none of us are in jail right now is because we chose TV.
Sean had a question about the narrator. The Audible version is narrated by Kevin R. Free, Free.
We'll keep that
Kevin.
up for
So-
later because I'm gonna want to hear a segment.
Sure.
But
Yeah, Bobby.
yeah. So let's talk about some of the other characters in this book, like the crew that Murderbot was. I
Yeah.
really liked Dr. Mensa.
Yes.
I thought,
Murderbot did also.
Seems like
um,
a good
I
human.
know. She was so great, and I'm kind of sad that Murderbot left.
And then finding out Dr. Mensa's status in this, it's like,
Mhm.
oh, no wonder. Like Mensa is like a top dog politician. But Mensa did such a good job of like staying calm and being in control of the situation, and I think that's what really gave Murderbot so much respect for Dr. Mensa. Is that
Mhm.
Dr. Mensa handled some things better than Murderbot did sometimes.
I love how Murderbot even acknowledged at one point and was like, "Oh, I'm gonna hack Mensa's file and put in there that she's a really good leader."
Yeah.
And then you had the kind of the augmented human Gwarthen.
Yeah.
Gwarthen, who was kind of a jerk to Murderbot, kind of untrusting, suspicious.
Can you blame him? Murderbot had hacked the governor module,
True.
and
And
has a history.
Gwarthen laid it all out, like took all of Murderbot's laundry and aired it out for everybody.
Tim, you better hope your wife is not in this book.
Yeah, so Gwarthen's augmented,
Mhm.
and then you had it still kind of I said I could tell the characters while I was reading. Now looking at their names, like a couple of them were married, some of them were like interested in the others.
But I really liked all of them, even though I can't remember their names anymore.
Pinley,
Averse,
Rathy,
But, like,
Rati.
I love that section where Murderbot, it was like a whole long paragraph where Murderbot basically explained all of their correlations, like their feelings about one
Mhm.
another. Like they like them and they like them, but they don't behave this way. And they just, and I love that. And I was like, oh my God, I want to retain this. And so I read it a few times and then I immediately forgot it all anyways. But like I wanted to go back later and be like, wait, is that who they like? Or like, whatever. But no, I like they were such a nice crew that they all got along, and the Murderbot was like, look, these humans don't suck. And someone mentioned it earlier that they kept Murderbot kept referring to them as these are my humans.
Yeah.
And been like, I don't have to kill the other sec units, but I want to because these are my humans. And I loved that.
Yeah. I really also love that transition from I don't care, none of this matters, to these are my humans and I will protect them at all costs.
Yeah.
I will rip your arm off.
Yes.
Well, Jennifer pointed out there's a lot of multiple partner relationships. This is a thing that we've seen in a few science fiction.
At least one other one.
Like The Expanse also is a society that has multiple partner relationships. I think it's interesting that like science fiction views relationships in that way.
Well, and like we were talking about that earlier, and I really feel like it might be because if you have like space expeditions that are going to last months or years, it makes sense if you're leaving a partner to leave them with your other partners. It makes sense to have more than just like a two-person relationship.
I remember that you said that.
Well,
This is in science fiction. If you're
I
going
just
out in
wanted to
space.
Google. I wanted to see if she's married. I want to know if the people who are writing the books where you have multiple spouses have a spouse.
Well, and it's not like I have a ton of wives.
Because I
It's
love
like
you, and dear God, one's enough.
I think they're usually structured where it's like equal amounts of men and women, which is something.
It's like,
No, we're taking notes.
What?
It's
No.
fine. Christy's never gonna go on a space
Fine.
expedition.
Yeah, but what if I do?
Well, then you better take Christy with you. Don't. If you both left, I'd be real sad.
Okay, no spoilers if you know, but
I know.
when Murderbot was explaining why Murderbot is their nickname, they kind of insinuated that this was a good enough story for them. So what do you think actually happened? Or like, what do you think we're missing?
No spoilers.
No spoilers. Yeah, don't comment
That
if
means
you know.
But that means that's a spoiler. That means we're gonna get the answer in either the second or third book.
I mean,
because
that's
Adam's read
backstory.
those.
I don't know.
There's only 6.
Well, now I want to read them more.
Kristen's got
You
zipped
already
lips.
wanted to read it.
Kristen zipped her lips. Look
Okay,
at you.
We
Good,
can
no
move on because
spoilers.
this is a little dangerous.
Little spoiler bait.
I did like that. I like that Murderbot teases us a little bit. Like, this isn't the whole story, and I'm not going to tell you right now.
Murderbot is a fun personality to read.
Yes, it is because, Bobby, you are correct. Murderbot did murder people. But I think that Murderbot also acknowledged that the story, their explanation that they gave to the human crew was very, very simplified or possibly rearranged in such a way to make it palatable for the humans.
I would never be a red shirt,
Oh,
Martin.
Martin.
I would go straight to command, unless you mean red shirt in Next Generation and beyond, because that is a good thing.
So Julie asked, how does anyone trust anything in this world where data can be hacked and manipulated to such an extent?
I mean, are you talking about the book or real life? Because have y'all seen any social media at all? That like I'm not just talking about filters and like all that deep fake stuff that we're seeing, but there are like accounts now of people like the filters and the deep fake and the technology. Like, shoot, we just went and saw Top Gun this past week, and for the second time, and Val Kilmer isn't even speaking in this movie. Like, you know, he's lost his ability to speak in real life due to all the surgeries and health complications that he's gone through. So his speaking voice in the movie was AI that they had created like based on recordings of his old voice. So like this is terrifying to me, y'all. Nothing is real.
Fueling the conspiracy theorists here.
Nothing is real anymore.
Oh no, I was going to get to that one. But I was going to say just like it's interesting how connected they are to like everything. Like it seems like they have some sort of internal access to feeds.
They're like walking through the terminal or whatever and just like swipe a screen or something and it downloads the map and a bunch of information. Like,
yeah,
well, the access they have is kind of insane.
The way that they can communicate with each other, like how Murderbot was able to like kind of DM Mensa in her head or whatever, their own feeds or something. I don't know how this manifests itself really because I can't visualize it, but like it seems like Murderbot is extremely connected. Like there's Wi-Fi so good, Bluetooth or whatever. Like with Murderbot, because Murderbot can control the drones, Murderbot can access hub system and sex system and local shuttle stuff and just like do things on the fly very easily. So yeah, everything is connected and everything is very easily hacked and altered and stuff. Kelly wants to know why did we learn why the group was being attacked?
Yes.
Or if they just leave that info hanging. There was like ruins.
It wasn't a huge part of the book, but yeah, it was a previously civilized planet.
Yeah, the planet had already been inhabited and stuff. There were remnants left behind underneath like the glassy rock sections, and that's what was messing with the map and like knocking out those portions of the map that they were missing. And so the gray Chris, is that group wanted to harvest all that stuff because you can sell that on the black market for a ton of money.
Also, because there were ruins, the planet was misclassified, and so they wouldn't be able to actually like do any mining or
Yes.
whatever.
So they had to be sketchy and murdery about it.
That helps.
Yeah, Matt. Oh man. What?
Julie asked, would you choose to be augmented? If so, how would you use your augmented abilities?
How can he resist? Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we even see augmentation in Star Trek, like in Discovery, the redhead has the eye thing, and Geordi has his eye thing. It's all eyes, apparently.
Just the eyes.
I would augment my stomach so that I could eat cake all day long, every day, and it'd be fine.
Okay.
Christy making Star
Sugar
Trek
filter.
references.
He loves me more
filter,
now.
so-
Yeah. I do like a sugar and carb filter.
Turns it into like potassium and
Yeah, just turn
iron
it
or
all into
something.
vitamins.
Yeah.
I'd be so healthy.
Now we know who to blame, Matt. Like, ow, oh, Matt did it. He did it again. Yeah.
Ooh, Brandy wants to be able to read faster.
Mm.
Ooh, that would be a strong superpower. What would I want? Augmentation. Technology. I mean, I'd love to be able to kind of hack into stuff, you know? That'd be kind of cool. Like,
I'd want a translator too.
Mm,
To be able to
translator would be really
understand
good.
every language and speak
universal
any language.
translator.
That
How
would be
amazing
awesome.
would that be?
That's a really solid one.
Ugh,
That's a very practical.
that would be
Easy
so
one,
cool
yeah.
to
Yeah,
communicate
Star
with
Trek.
anyone.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Tiffany, I am. I'm just recovering from COVID and I can only hear my voice inside my own head, but sounds great.
Tiffany also said she wants to be able to not sleep.
Oh, that would be nice too. Imagine how much more productive I would be.
Gosh, fine, I'll keep sleeping, but can I just not be tired when I'm awake?
Mm.
A lot of stimulants.
I just realized your cat's still in the room.
This should be fine for a minute.
Okay.
I want that opaque mask so no one can see my side eye.
Yeah. Well, I mean, wearing masks because of COVID, you got away with a lot more, I think.
Oh, I
That's true.
still do. That's why I still wear them to the grocery store all the time, is because I love when people can't see my face.
Yeah, this is how I would want. I would want to be able to like download
Ooh.
knowledge into my
Yeah,
brain.
Can it not be a data port in the back of my neck though? Because that gives me.
But if it had to be, I would take it.
squeamish.
What if it's a USB up your nose and just like
As a USB-C.
I think I would rather that
No,
than
it's
a data
B.
port on the back of my neck. I
Well,
can't
y-
see the
you
back
could-
of my neck.
The back of
Cat
your neck.
hair's gonna get in there.
Yeah, there's a little rubber cap that you use to plug it when you're not using
A
it.
little silicone cover.
Yeah, a little cap for the data port that says data on it, like engraved in a very generic font.
So Amber asked, she wondered at our impressions as to the real core reason Murderbot didn't like being looked at / exposed. I expected it was a sort of superiority, and then I thought it was just general anxiety. But then as they talked more of it just being plain discomfort, I wonder if there was like a reason / cause beyond that, just shyness or something more.
I think it's probably more anxiety than it is shyness, honestly. And I think there's probably some self-loathing and shame in there. The fact that they gave themselves their own name of Murderbot means they're very much aware of their origin and what they've done. And they even explain to themselves like the reason. Yeah, you might want to check on Liza. Your microphone is on.
I know.
Don't talk to the
Don't
cat.
go to the
in our room.
bathroom.
Oh no, you left and I'm white. Okay, there we go. I'm just gonna keep my hands like this. Stupid auto-adjusting camera. I forgot what I was talking about. The shame they talked about when they would go into the room, they were like, it's easier for other people to think of me as a robot. Like, don't look at me. I think it's a lot of it is shame based because
Yeah.
like Murderbot identifies with humans so much more because of all like the serials they watch and all that stuff. And I think there's a lot of self-hatred for what they did. They don't want a human. I don't know. I had something else in my brain and then I lost it. But
I think you're on the right track. And
that's just how I interpreted it.
yeah. Well, also, Murderbot has a history with humans where they're treated like a thing. And they mentioned, like, Mensa said, we don't need you. You can go back to your room. And they said they have a history of, like, other people would be like, oh, you can just stand there until we need you.
Yeah.
They make them fight each other.
Oh, yeah. That was terrible. I mean, they didn't go into detail, but that sounds awful.
Now Philip's comment is interesting. Is Murderbot sentient? A bot? Is a governor all that stands between personhood and slave, or are the bots people being controlled? What is sentient? What are the criteria for being sentient?
Well,
Self-awareness.
I got the impression that Murderbot was unique. But, I mean, because we saw other sec units that don't obviously have any sort of personality. And I do think, like, they're grown and they just use, like, human pieces. I don't know.
They have organic parts.
Yeah.
Clone. Clone part.
Defining sentience, like
You keep saying that. I always thought it was sentient.
Sentient.
How are you saying it?
Sentient.
Say it again.
Sentient. Sometimes they say it like that in Star Trek. I don't know. Everything I know I got from Star Trek.
Well, you can trust Patrick Stewart with pronunciation.
Isn't just
No,
like
you
being
can't.
aware?
Because he says data, and that's not how you say it.
He popularized data, right? Sorry, we've gone off track.
It's data.
Not anymore. It's not.
This is a It's
so
a relevant episode.
But Julie did say it. So he's not a robot. He's a construct. He is part robot and part organic human cloned parts. So
The Borg.
yes.
But the Borg didn't start as the Borg.
No, they were assimilated.
Yeah.
But sentience is more of a not like a
sentient or sentient.
Sentient.
Don't say that often.
Okay.
It's more of a behavioral mindset thing than what you're made of.
Yeah.
It's like, are you self-aware? Can you
Can you disobey orders?
right? You think for yourself. That kind of stuff. Really great Star Trek episode about that. There are 4 lights, Leanne. But I would definitely say
it's a Star Trek thing.
Okay.
watch more Star Trek. Murderbot definitely is an individual.
Yeah.
Is not, like the other sec units. I don't know if you could say that about them. I don't know how they were. I mean, they were. I guess the governor module is controlling them.
Well, and is Murderbot able to like have their personality because the governor module failed that one time and it just like kind of opened the door?
And that's a good point. Autonomy. It's well, Murderbot definitely has autonomy compared to the other sec units, especially the ones that got hacked by the combat override module that was installed by it in them.
Don't like that.
The fact that sec units have organic parts is what makes them so amenable to being so good at what they do. They can feel pain. Although Murderbot was all about just taking it and seeing who survived. Like Murderbot.
That's how they fight.
Yeah, they just throw themselves at each other, right? Because they know parts are gonna fly off and whatever.
Literally, like in the book, you'd be like, you just try to kill the shit. You
Yeah,
just, kill the shit out of the other one,
Yeah.
and then know that 90% of you can be fixed. It's fine.
Yeah.
Now that's what I would like to have. A little like fix me up capsule that I could get in.
That would be your augmentation. Dude, you need a new spine.
What? Yeah.
How come
Somebody
you
else
didn't say
said
that
it.
earlier?
Somebody else said it, and I
Oh,
said, "Me
did say
too."
oh.
I did it with my hand. I love a new spine. You got one? You got one? Fresh set of vertebrae.
Ew,
So
don't use the word
Adrian-
fresh with that.
Adrian asked, do you think now that Murderbot knows people can be nice, that they might start to experience loneliness? How do you think they'll be able to make it in the world, finding a place to live and how to pay for it, having to interact with people and not knowing common social norms, not being linked up to a network all the time for immediate information, etc.?
I guess you'll just have to keep reading, huh?
No one say anything, but I'm really, really, really hoping that Murderbot reunites with Dr. Mensa at some point. I understand, like, go find yourself, whatever, have some adventures, but then, like,
Maybe in book 9.
I think the second book's more of a comedy where it's
this one was
situational,
funny.
where Murderbot's trying to like pay rent, and then like all of a sudden it's like,
Has a
oops,
weird,
I murdered
quirky-
my landlord, and it zooms in, and it's like,
It's a quirky
that's our
roommate.
Murderbot. Yeah,
They're just complete opposites.
yeah.
Murderbot and me is what it's called.
Yeah.
Like,
So-
Tiffany commented about how she wished she could turn down updates at work. This is true. I think I loved that part of, like, I knew when it came in, I had the foreshadowing, like the foreboding moment of like, oh, well, they sent me a file and well, I opened it and I just put it in my external hard drive to deal with later because I'm busy watching my show. I knew, I was like, uh-oh, there's something in that file. I'm sorry, keep going.
What were you gonna say?
The very end where Murderbot decides to leave on their own instead of going with Dr. Mensa. How'd y'all feel about that?
When I read it the first time, I was kind of sad. Like I was rooting for Murderbot to stick around and stay with them and just have a family and people that treated Murderbot as a person, and I wanted that. And then Murderbot snuck out in the middle of the night and left and found a shuttle and left on it, traded its entertainment feed. Apparently shuttles like to watch TV too.
The bot, right?
But yeah, I was like, oh. But like Matt says, it leaves it much more open for more storytelling, which I appreciate, because then you get more of a different thing. Like, would it be fun to read the next book and it's just them all getting along?
I feel like they could have gotten into plenty of hijinks on this new planet that they were going to, while also having a reliable human friend to call on when you needed help, especially someone who's in a position of power and could help you in case you accidentally murder someone else again. But it did make me sad. I get it.
I think this is what really having like disappointing Dr. Mensa is what made me sad. Like, I didn't want to disappoint Dr. Mensa.
I don't think Murderbot leaving disappointed Dr. Mensa. I do think Dr. Mensa understood, because like Dr. Mensa said, like, we won't tell your secret and you can do whatever you want to do after we get out of here.
I think
So-
some of the other human crew, though, is going to worry about Murderbot.
Oh, definitely. And Mensa
Not Gwarthen.
might worry also, but I don't think Mensa was disappointed.
I like that Murderbot does not like Mr. G, and I don't know how to say his name. And I like that Murderbot was very open about it. It was like, I like them. I don't like you. They like you, so for whatever reason, so I'll tolerate you, I guess, but I don't like you.
Yeah.
Let's back it up even farther. What did you think about the ending of the action part, the plot part of it?
it was a little bit of a cop out for me because it was just like, and we tidied that up and now we're done. And it's like, whoa. Like, how the hell did y'all get out of that? You were like outnumbered and everything else. And it was a little too convenient for me.
I wasn't sure, even on the second time reading it, somebody explained this to me, why they didn't just blow Murderbot away. There were like 5 sec units and on the other side, and like Murderbot comes in and they realize that Murderbot's governor module has been hacked, and they're like, oh, but Murderbot's still just one bot. They had a bunch of
I
other.
think they wanted to put the military module on it or whatever.
They did.
I think they just wanted another sec unit.
I mean, I guess that makes sense. They just seem to back down very easily and like be more open to negotiations. But
I mean, but they were lying. Like all the negotiations were a lie.
well, yeah, but then I guess they had their moments, and then they got Dr. Mensa, and Murderbot pretended to be the other
I get
sec
that
unit,
reference.
and then there was the emergency beacon that was being launched by Gwarthen and one of the other ones, and that went off, and Murderbot had to like protect Mensa from the blast, and then Murderbot blacked out, and then we're done.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna be probably a solitary opinion here, but it didn't really bug me. I kind of liked that I was given the information differently, that what you would expect to be the climactic point of the story just wasn't there. Like, it didn't bug me. Like, I thought it was kind of funny to be like, offline. And I woke up and time is gone, and I'm down. Like,
to be fair, the book is called All Systems Red, which is technically when all the bad things have happened and you're basically almost dead. Like, you're just shut down, right? So in that way, it makes sense that they'd have that at the very end. But I was not a huge fan of that.
Wasn't the Old Man's War ending kind of convenient like that too?
Yep.
In a different way. Like Old Man's War was like,
They had to find
there's this. I found it. Oh, let's like
the little data stick or whatever, and found it so easily. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm still mad about it.
Philip makes a great point. I literally was just thinking, I was like, it's also called the Murderbot Diaries. So we only get the story from Murderbot.
True.
So if Murderbot's offline, we don't know what friggin' happened when they weren't. I mean, yeah, they can go back through footage later, but only if their cameras were working. Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of surprised because I think the end of Old Man's War did bug me a little, but this kind of didn't.
Well, Old Man's War, that was unrealistic, and this is not that. We were just missing a piece. But you guys are making me feel a little better about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still think that there's something to be said for having the action be different and having the action be motivated by things that are built up properly in the story. And I think that there was still something that felt unfulfilling, even from a, not like a plot point perspective, but just from a like Murderbot's journey in that moment perspective. Like, I get that Murderbot was, Murderbot's job is to protect the humans and all that stuff. And Murderbot came up with this plan to deceive Grey Chris and all that stuff. And it kind of went off the rails. But then, I don't know, it just seemed to be a little bit, it could have gotten to like 100, but it got to like 85. That makes sense.
I do like that when the plan started to go sideways, that Murderbot was like, ugh, this is when Mr. G said the plan would fall apart. I hate that he's done. Annoying. Because that felt like a very human response to what should have been a perfectly robotic plan.
Mm-hmm.
and be like, stupid human.
Yeah, I'm not even saying they should have described the events while Murderbot crashed. I'm just saying that maybe they shouldn't have had it crash or something else should have happened.
I like Philip said, I do enjoy that anything that goes wrong is because the corporation is cheap. And I enjoyed that also. That felt very realistic to me.
Joe, we are all Murderbot.
Yeah. I think Murderbot's perspective is what makes this book. Like if this was omniscient narration or just whatever, like you're just seeing the story unfold, it's not exciting. It's not like it doesn't stand up. Like it's just
Well, and I like how Murderbot had to keep going back and like watching their own videos because they forgot what happened. Like it felt like the story was unfolding for Murderbot also.
Or they deleted them completely and be like, I had a limited amount of space, so I kept my TV show and I got rid of the files that you said were important. Because I didn't care.
Yeah.
And it's like
very much identified with that.
Definitely felt the struggle of like trying to come up with a lie and then just being like, I didn't care.
Yep.
Be like, I cared so little that I can't even think of a lie to tell you about it. And be like, I don't believe you. Be like, I was annoyed.
Oh,
And-
Matt's comment's interesting. Release the Mensa cut. I kind of love the same story from a different perspective.
Yeah,
and
that'd
Mensa,
be
I think,
cool.
would be a great one for that.
I can
She's
see
just
that.
so darn likable.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going there. I'm reading all of y'all. Y'all have had so many great comments tonight. I mean, y'all always have great comments,
I
but
also just do this.
I get distracted and I can't always read them all.
I've seen everything. Well, we're 2 minutes out from the hour mark, and I would be interested to see who is interested in continuing to read. I think I might have to go back and reread numbers 2 and 3 and then keep going.
I know Julie's already been reading on. I plan on reading on.
The good news
as
is that
soon as
they
I get
are
here.
shorts. They're
Well,
just like
Except for that one.
And a lot of people are saying they're on Kindle Unlimited if you have that.
okay. Yeah.
And I want to know how many people have read on and where you're at.
I've read number 3.
Matt's read the first 3 and then finishing the series this week. Wow.
What?
Nice.
Julie's
Yeah.
almost finished for 4.
Kristen's on the
Caitlin is
4th.
impatiently waiting for book 7.
All right.
Stacy's not continuing. Totally understandable. I
Rise in the middle of book 3.
My book 2 through 6 will be here tomorrow. But I'm going to hold off on them because we've got a little trip coming up soon and I want to take all my books with me.
Oh, Mariah says they're all free on Hoopla
What?
Well, I have that.
if you have a library card.
Okay. Okay.
You might
I
have
think this is one that I'll keep going on in the future, kind of thing. It's not an immediate need for me to
You need to go back and finish the wool. the
Wool and
thing.
Red
The
Rising
wool-
series.
What is it? Oh my God, take those. You have to read this later. You've
I
got
know, but if
time.
I
But-
no, then no.
Oh, I want you to read the second book so bad.
Okay, focus.
The Murderbot
Okay.
is easy. to read,
Yeah.
easy to get through. You're gonna read more.
Mm-hmm.
We got lots of
Soon.
people saying that they're gonna read. They've already been reading more. Good, they are good palate cleansers. And again, like Murderbot's such a magnetic character that you just you like being in their head.
Dan, yes, you do need to read Wool. It's really good.
Yes.
Since
And then
we're
read the
here,
second 2 books, and then we can talk.
Maybe we should do like a little thing for everybody who's finished Murderbot or something.
Yeah,
We-
and
Should have done that for so many books.
I know.
Then when we do
Well,
series.
that's
The book club would go on for
that all gets into like, we talking shop a little bit, but we've tossed around the idea of having a forum on our website, or opening up Discord would be an option, to where if you wanted to read on and y'all wanted to chat about those books, you could have a little place to do so. It gets hard trying to do it as a book of the month because not everyone has read the first book, and we try to keep it as accessible as possible for everybody. But
But Wool's only a trilogy and it's worth it, and you should do it.
Just outside of
yes.
us.
But next
unfortunately.
month, we have the votes are in.
The votes are in, and the book you chose for August is Scythe by Neil Shusterman. Shusterman? Shusterman.
So that's exciting.
I'm excited.
Well, this book
we-
made me real human.
Sorry, we were so delayed on the poll and announcement video, which finally went up this morning.
Just in time. It's
yeah.
fine.
So
Just in
Scythe-
time.
Scythe is happening. This is a book. It looks like about death.
Yes. Well,
Yeah,
it's about
says on the back, "Thou shalt kill."
it's two teenagers who are learning to be death. It's like a job.
And it has won the Michael Prince Award for Excellence in Young Adult Literature by the American Library Association. Look at this. Look at it.
It's Michael with 2 L's.
Hell. So I'm excited. Don't let the young adult thing turn you off. There's a lot of great young adult stuff out there. And we've
I would argue that All Systems Red is young adult.
It's true.
Yeah.
I would argue that Emperor's Soul is young adult.
Emperor's New Groove is too.
Stacy's going to get back into her comfort programming, which I would say literally is also comfort show.
His face is wet.
Sometimes I just go back and watch all our live streams. But anyway, so Scythe is happening in August. Get your book. Look forward to talking. What's our first discussion date?
August 17th.
17th.
I know that because I made the cover photos today to post them tomorrow. So the discussions on August 17th, we will discuss the first half of the book up to chapter 22, which is called Sign of the Bident, or Bidet. And then on August 31st, which I caught at the last minute, we will talk about the whole book. And I had to catch myself. I accidentally just deleted the numbers on one of the cover photos, and it said 31st. And I was like,
it happens.
well, because I went back, I proofread everything, so I
don't. But yeah, looking forward to talking Scythe with y'all in August.
Joe, sorry, so loud. Kill the Farm Boy is not young adult. You lie.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us for All Systems Red. We're glad you enjoyed Murderbot. If you did, and if you didn't, we're sorry. Maybe you'll enjoy next month's book, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Bye. Lucas, let's harmonize. Hi.
Oh, the liver! Christy!